That's all that matters. Win.
I never let you down, I'ma shine on sight. Keep your mind on your grind and off of mine's alright, right? Hard, I'ma ball on those squares. I float in $250,000 cars everywhere I go. I know in the lead they may see me might be, but no matter what they doing, they don't do it like me. Like a G, I hold it down for the town I'm at. In a flash like that, recognize I'm back. Strike 'em back.
It's on the line. All you want to be Mac champs, they got to start right here today. Okay, baby, Mac champs on 3. 1, 2, 3. Mac champs.
Then exit out with all the women like we always do. My desire to retire grow with every new group. Cause these guys just don't ride like my partner used to. Tight jeans, funny haircuts, dancing on the screen. It's a drought of real G's in the game, so it seems. Just pretend to holler, pimp and get a game of black. Next he say he trapping in my head, I'm like, why? Be yourself, you ain't got a pimp bone in your body. I can tell you ain't never bought a unit called a body. Probably just seen Wayne, Gucci Mane, me and Boosie all go to prison. They flipping whole image, really tripping. Listen, dude, for you that ain't in the car. Think the power's in the gun, but overall it's in your heart. Nowadays, I don't know what's up with cats who in the A. Guess he think he in the game, but he really in the way. Violate, now we're having conversations in the joint with cats who done it, and I promise I'll put you on point. I'm disappointed in you, dog. You ain't hold it down at all, but I ain't going in your jaw.
It's 365 days in a year. We only guarantee 12 of these games to ball out. You know what I'm saying? So I know what y'all gonna do. You know what I mean? Ball out on 3. 1, 2, 3. Ball out.
Keep your mind on your grind and off of mine's alright, right? Hard, I'm a ball on those squares. I float in $250,000 cars everywhere I go. I know in the lead it may see me might be, but no matter what they doing, they don't do it like me. Like a G, I hold it down for the town I'm at. In a flash like that, recognize I'm back. Strike 'em back, catch a fly, CT.
Hey, boys. Hey, I gotta tell y'all, man, it's been the best 4 years of my life, dog. I love every each and every one of y'all, dog. You know what I'm saying? Hey, it's 60 minutes. Don't mean a lifetime. Let's go out and let's just win, dog. Win on 3. 1, 2, 3. Win.
Trying to think of how to stop it and they can't. Ain't that lame, but then that hatred manifested pure malice. I'm no longer being careless. I'ma let these haters have it. Won't be satisfied till somebody dies, and I'm patient waiting. Know me and the Reaper on a first name basis now. I'ma let you make it now. Stay totally out the way for you, but know that we can take it any place you wanna take it to. Hating in your blood, cuz guess it's just too late for you. All I can do is pray for you or organize a wait for you. Your choice. Clearly I ain't hearing your voice. Keep it up and I'ma send you up to deal when I enjoy. Hey, I never let you down. I'ma shine on sight. Keep your mind on your grind and off of mine's alright, right? Hard, I'ma ball on those squares. I float in $250,000 cars everywhere I go. I know in the lead it may see me might be, but no matter what they doing, they don't do it like me. Like a G, I hold it down for the town I'm at. In a flash like that, recognize I'm back. I'm back.
Yes, sir.
You're listening to the Flow Theory Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to the Flow Theory Podcast. One of the most improved players on the Ohio Bobcat football roster during his time there from 2005 to 2009. Former Ohio Bobcat defensive back, Thad Turner. Thanks so much for coming on the show, Thad.
Yeah, what an intro, man. I appreciate you, Wade, man. I always have, man. You've been sticking out for me and praising me and telling people how good I was before I was even playing, man. You know, I always love it. Appreciate you, bro.
Hey, no problem at all, man. I mean, I'm just, I'm honest when I assess guys, you know, and I'll never forget the time with you was when you were really, really early in your career, when I first watched you, I'll never forget the moment. And I don't know if you want to talk about this, but this is like part of your journey. Someone, I forget who it was, man. They absolutely trucked you one day in practice. Yeah. And I'll never forget it because you had like a stoic look on your face, and I could tell it really stung, you know, like that sucks. Like for any football player to get trucked like that. But for you to come from that moment to, you know, you can either do one of two things, you know, you can either go in the tank and give up, or you can get stronger and improve. And, you know, you chose the latter, and that's part of what made you such a great player at Ohio, man.
Well, you know, I know the exact moment that you're even referring to. We were in the spring, well, at least the one that sticks out in my mind.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think I got trucked too often, but we was in a spring game, or it might have been like a spring scrimmage or something along those lines. And Josh Abrams, as a matter of fact, ran some sweep to the left, or somehow he got the ball to the left. And he came down and put his shoulder on me, and I actually sprained my AC joint during that play. And that was a reminder of, you know, what I didn't do right, and how it actually taught me how to tackle, you know what I'm saying? Understanding what I did wrong on that play. And, you know, how they talk about, you know, player safety and things that not, you know, when you really talk to professionals, it really comes down to fundamentals. You know what I'm saying? There's a way that you can play safe. And oftentimes, you know, they talk about having your head up and things of that nature. But even other injuries, when you really talk to those players, you know, when they get injured, you know, they'll oftentimes talk about, well, you know, I took a bad angle. So, yeah, well, you ended up with a concussion, but the reason why you ended up with a concussion is because you took a bad angle to the ball, and then you didn't get your head around, or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? So that was a true learning moment for me. That was a big hurdle that I had to pass to become a defensive player, you know, coming from the offensive side of the ball. And I've only played offense for the most part, you know, even growing up through high school and Pop Warner and things of that nature, you know, so playing defense, you know, had to get my mind right to tackle. But more than that, it's about technique. And it took a moment like that to understand how to approach a ball carrier, how to get them down, and things of that nature. You know, I'm lucky that, you know, I didn't have that didn't turn into a serious injury, and it just turned into just a workable moment for me to learn from. But that was a key moment. There's a couple other key moments that I've had, but that was definitely one of them that you know, helped me along my process. You know, but it was a learning moment. You know.
Yeah, that was definitely part of your journey, Thad. I mean, that moment stood out to me as just such an instrument. It was just such an instrumental moment in your career, you know, like after I watched you like in 2009, you know, at the end of your career, and just seeing how far you had come. I mean, it was a cool thing, man. To me, like there is nothing better in sports than just seeing a guy improve from, you know, from the time they come in to the time they leave. It's a beautiful thing, and I will always love that in any well, especially in college football and college basketball, because those are the two sports I love the most. But it's a thing of beauty when you see a player do that, because, you know, no one does that for the player. You know, at the end of the day, the player's got to put in the work. Coaches can help you to a certain degree, but the player has to ask themselves, do I want to get better? You know, and I think a lot of, like, you know, society today is trying to remove obstacles for people. You know what I mean? And, you know, Clay Travis makes a good point in his podcast about how, you know, people eliminating obstacles in today's society. It's a horrible thing because, you know, that obstacle for you, think of how, like, how important that was for you in your Ohio football career. You know, like without that, I don't know if you become like the player that you were. You know what I mean? I thought it was so important in your career, you know?
Well, you know, it's deeper than just even that moment, you know, even the fact of changing positions and getting my mindset to a place where I know I don't know nothing. You get what I'm saying? Like, I was playing receiver, you know, for whatever reason, I thought that I was good. You feel what I'm saying? So that mindset doesn't always, you know, get you in a place to, humble yourself to work hard to be great.
Right.
When I changed position, I knew I didn't know nothing. I ain't never played cornerback. You know what I'm saying? Coach Brown, my first defensive back coach, had to teach me how to backpedal. You get what I'm saying? So to ever get myself to a position where I was going to play, you know what I'm saying? I had to, work on my craft. You get what I'm saying? Me thinking at receiver, there's a lot of different excuses that I can make. They're not throwing me the ball. These certain plays aren't going good, aren't, you know what I'm saying, the best for me to showcase my skills. You know what I'm saying? A whole bunch of excuses. But, even that transition, from, like I said, from receiver to corner, made me switch my mindset. And that was the time where everything that I did, I dove into learning more about the position. Was blessed to have, Coach Brown really mentor me and teach me the foundation of what it takes to be good at the position. And, I studied a lot of film. I studied a lot of, LSU film, practice tape, and I would watch their practice tape. And I would do their practice tape, before and after our practices, I modeled my game after Rondé Barber. We would watch his film, sun up and sun to sun down. Coach Brown told me, you don't watch Deion, and I why? Because you can't do what Deion can do.
That's right.
Not everybody can run 4.3 and 4.2. You know what I'm saying? I was pretty fast, but a 4.2, that's different. You know what I'm saying? To allow a receiver to get open and then catch up with him and make a pick on the ball, I wasn't going to do all that. You know what I'm saying? That's not to say, there aren't guys that can, but I guarantee you can still be successful in the NFL and in any level, once you understand what you're good at. And that's really what the NFL is about, understanding your niche. Those are the guys that play, for 10 plus years. They understand their niche. You know what I mean? And they know who they are, So that was just part of my learning, part of my journey. Like you said, that was the best thing that I could have done is switch position. Coach Solich called me into his office and he said, you're a short receiver, but you change positions, you become a tall corner, overnight. He had that come to Jesus meeting with me. And he said, you might have 2 or 3 more years playing football if you play receiver, continue to play receiver. But you got a chance to, actually go to the NFL at cornerback. And after he said that, that's all I need to hear. So then from that point on, it was just a matter of getting around my coaches and studying and doing everything I could to, perfect that craft,
Absolutely, man. And I got nothing but great things to say about Coach Brown, man. For a guy to allow a random guy like me to watch film with you guys, that was something that I'll always cherish in my just in all the years I've gotten to study football. That was just a really, really cool thing where I like learning about the defensive back position. Like, you learn so much by slowing it down and just, he allowed me to ask questions in your guys' film session. And, let's be honest, man, a lot of coaches across the country would never, ever, ever do that, especially for a random guy like me. You know what I mean? But for Coach Brown to do that, man, I will certainly never forget that. And he was just a true technician. I mean, he was just always about the fundamentals. And I love watching him teach you guys, man.
Right. Yeah. Coach Brown was, very instrumental in how I learned the position. He's always been really gracious and always been a wealth of knowledge and willing to share it. Even to this day, as I, transitioned into coaching, he shared so many different points, or just coaching things that's helped me out in my coaching career, so. And at the end of the day, like him breaking it down to you, somebody that doesn't play, really shows how well of a teacher he is. If you can't, as they say, if you can't teach it to a kindergartner, how well do you really know it? You don't really know it that well. You know what I'm saying? So, he's able to get somebody to understand, what to do, how to do certain things that may have zero knowledge of the position at all. So that's the sign of a true teacher. And that's the type of things that I like to be able to do when I'm dealing with my team now as a coach is, try to explain it like I'm explaining to my daughter, to my young daughter. So, and that allows everybody just to play fast. When you can understand it from the simplest roots of it all, then you can just play fast because you know your why, you know your how, and you're just able to, get after it.
Yeah, Coach Brown is definitely a man that loves teaching the game of football. He taught, I want to say he taught guys in Japan. I mean, that was a really cool thing that I learned about him. He's really been all over the world and all over the country, really. So many different places that he has taught, and you can tell, that he genuinely loves teaching. There's a lot of coaches that might just be there because of connections, this or that, but he genuinely loves to teach the game of football. And that's a beautiful thing to see, when you get to be around that in any profession, really. But
right. You're right.
Coach Brown's definitely one of the best as far as I'm concerned. Thad, one of the biggest things I get to talk to all the guys that come on the podcast is about their moments of flow and being in the zone. Mike Vick had on his documentary, he talked about how everything was moving in slow motion for him, even though the guys were running at full speed. Talk to me about a moment for you that stands out in your Ohio football career.
It really comes down to things kind of coming together. And I can remember it was a point where I learned how to lean on a receiver, and I had to kind of like bring you back just to get to a certain point. But, having an offensive background, it really helped me out because I understood the route tree, to my core. You know what I'm saying? So me understanding how and when certain routes get broken off to make their cut really allowed me to get to a point where after a certain point in the route, I knew that there's only one or two things that they could be doing. And then I could lean on them, and then become the receiver. And I can just recall being able to, do those things and different points near the end of my career, sort of the tail end of my junior year, my senior year, and just really being able to push guys kind of off the field and then not even be passing the fence, just kind of putting my shoulder on them and run them out of bounds and turn myself into the receiver. And I can kind of remember, I think we were playing Central Michigan at home, and one of their receivers ran a go route on me, and I just played it perfectly, and the ball wasn't thrown to my guy, but I was just able to just run him all the way to his sideline to a point where, his coaches over there are just, very disappointed in him because, you're never supposed to run your fade, to a point where you're out of bounds. You know?
Yeah.
So I just mushed him all the way out of bounds without even, and I had my shoulder on him. I didn't even have my hands on him. I just leaned on him all the way till he was out of bounds. And, I'm kind of laughing and talking junk a little bit all the way down the sideline. You know what I'm saying? And being able to do that, and I was like, man, you know what? I got a good grasp on this thing right now. This is fun at this point. Because at some point, man, playing cornerback, you got to know what you're doing. They can run past you. You feel me? And that's not fun. That's not fun. Just striking up the band on you.
It's like it's like Coach Brown used to call it. He's like, "That's a BBQ."
That's barbecue,
honey roasted, baby.
Right. You don't want none of those. What's funny? Even that little motivation in our meeting room really stuck out in the game. Last thing you want to do at cornerback, you can go 100 snaps, but if you give up one, you didn't necessarily have a good game. You had a bad game.
Yeah.
They go up top on you one time. You know what I'm saying? That turns that good game to a bad one, and just with that one snap.
Yeah.
So you gotta be perfect. You gotta throw a shutout. You know what I'm saying? Every game. You feel me? So, and ironically, that's something that stuck out in my head, and I was fortunate enough. I only gave up one touchdown my entire career. I gave up a slant against, actually, ironically, I think it might have been Central Michigan in the MAC championship game.
Was it Antonio Brown or Brian Anderson?
No. It wasn't. It was a big, tall kid. I think he wore number 7.
I think that's Brian Anderson, white guy.
Yeah, white guy, absolutely. Yep. He ran a slant on me, and he just bodied me. He was a big guy out there. He, wasn't more athletic. He just got leverage on the inside, and that no huddle offense gets you tired. And you get out of your technique and you tired. And they capitalized on it. Which they had a good offense. They had things clicking over there at the time.
Yeah, dude. Dan Lefevre with Antonio Brown and Brian Anderson. Brian Anderson, truly one of the most forgotten receivers in college football history. That guy was so fucking good. I mean, he was putting up numbers on Antonio Brown's level for a couple years, and everyone forgets about Brian Anderson. That guy was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, that whole offense was just insane. And did you get to go up against? Did you defend Antonio Brown a lot in that game?
To be honest with you, if I did, I don't remember. I'll just be real with you, man.
Yeah.
If I did, I don't remember. So obviously he was instrumental for what he did there, but I just don't quite remember, man. We were so worried about Dan Lefevre or whatever his name was.
Yeah, Lefevre. Yep.
Lefevre. He ran that offense so good that it didn't matter who they lined it up out there. It was just a matter of trying to get off the doggone field, man. That no huddle had things going over there, man.
Yeah,
they had a good click.
He was ridiculous, man. Truly, one of the all-time college football greats, Dan Lefevre. He was something else, man. Thad, talk to me about one game I wanted to talk to you about, dude. Speaking of being in the zone, dude, let's talk about Theo Scott's game versus Temple, dude, when he went absolutely ballistic. I mean, I remember watching that game on TV. I was like, this man looks like baby Vince Young out there. Like, dude, Theo's ball fakes in that game, Thad, like his ball fakes were so pretty. I mean, they were some of the prettiest I've ever seen. Like, he was literally like poetry in motion that game, dude. 393 all-purpose yards, 5 TDs. Talk to me about Theo's game versus Temple when he balled out.
Well, and I mean this, as respectfully as possible, but it was about time. Shit. I mean, we couldn't move the ball a lot of times that season. And we were playing pretty good doggone defense, man. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times, you get on the football team and it's kind of split up. You guys are offense and defense. I just trying to win. You know what I'm saying? And I'm worried about my part, and my part was defense. I don't know exactly what he was doing over there, but I thought that he always had the talent, and I didn't know that. I wasn't particularly. I didn't think that we executed on the offensive side of the ball as consistently as our talent, was. You know what I'm saying? That was a good win. I remember. I remember the game. We were able to put up some points that game.
Oh yeah.
But we should have won a lot more games. You know what I'm saying? With with some better performances. From a lot of those guys. But Phil was super talented, man. I mean, he had a good arm, mobile. He kind of reminds you of a lot of the things that Lamar Jackson does.
Yeah.
And but the thing about football, man, it's the ultimate team sport.
Absolutely.
You got to have 11 guys on the same page, and they all got to execute. You know what I'm saying? One guy mess it up, everybody messes up.
Yeah.
So the things that he was doing, guys like we just talked about Lamar Jackson, they're just executing on such a high level nowadays and doing some of the same things. But I wish we would have had more games like Temple. Like he played with Temple during that season.
Dude,
man,
that was just such an epic game, dude. I just remember watching that game. I'm like, this man cannot be stopped. Like, it was epic, dude. We beat the shit out of Temple. God.
Yeah.
And it was snowing. Like there were light little snow flurries. And I was just like, God damn, what did Theo eat before this game? God. That was one of my favorite quarterbacking performances like I've ever gotten to watch. That was
That
Something
was
else.
a good game, and I remember that was a home game, and I remember that was one of the games where oftentimes you can play cornerback, and if they don't throw the ball your way, you can just be kind of disappeared on, especially on the stat line.
Yeah.
That was a game where I just felt like I just wanted to be physical, man.
You
they did a lot of stuff
you destroyed number 10 across the middle, dude. Talk to me about that hit.
Yeah, I think you know what? As I recall, I think I might have been in cover 2, and he ran a little out route, and I read it the whole time. They ran out 9, so the number 1 receiver ran a go ball, right? But I saw number 2 get out on his out route. I came down, and right as he caught the ball, I hit him or put my shoulder on him and knocked his helmet off. And Leo Renfro caught his helmet. And there was a couple other big moments in that game. I remember making some plays. But that was a fun game. I just wanted to be physical that game. We played some cover 2 that game, and they put us on a nub side tight end. A lot of times that game we would just run it and play cover 2 from the line of scrimmage. And so it really gave us the opportunity to get involved in the run game. And, it being a point in my senior year where I felt like I knew how to tackle, I was trying to show it off a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So that was a fun game. I do remember that.
Oh, dude, you tuned that guy up. That's one of my favorite plays on your highlight tape, bro. You fucking smashed that guy. Oh,
yeah.
You got him good. But Dad, talk to me about your recruitment process coming out of high school. That's another thing I really like talking to a lot of the guys about.
Yeah. So, man, I came out with I was unique to me, I Marietta, Georgia, went to play ball at Marietta High School, and we came from a rich football tradition. There's a lot of guys that end up going there. We end up having at least a couple D1 guys that come out that school each year, and I came into my senior year with no offers and one catch. My senior year, no offers and one catch. I scored on that one catch, but I didn't have nothing coming into my senior year. You get what I'm saying? And this was just like, I gotta do everything I can and get a scholarship and to get a scholarship. And so Brandon Jones was our quarterback, and we worked all summer, and we worked all summer last summer before that. You get what I'm saying? But this year, that senior year, everything kind of clicked together, and I caught a bunch of balls, and I got a lot of yards, and had an unbelievable season. And as I was getting recruited, my goal was to go D1, as a lot of guys' goals are, and so I remember Elon University had come to our school, and they talked to my head coach, Coach Friday, and Jason Looms was the receiver coach over at Elon University. And he talked to me, and he offered me a scholarship, and I said, I'd think about it. You know what I mean? Because at the time, I think there might have been 1AA or
they were
FCS, whatever.
I think they were D1 AA. I think you're right there.
Right. Exactly. And so, it was just kind of just keep my options open. I felt like, I was going to get blessed with a D1 scholarship. And so I remember Coach Mason came in to the office, and Coach Friday, man, he's a legendary recruiter. He helped so many kids, and I had to say this, helped a lot of black kids get full athletic scholarships. We had guys on my high school team to get full athletic scholarships, didn't even start. You understand what I'm saying? Like, just based off of his relationships in the college football world. And anyway, Coach Mason comes in. He's a receiver coach at Ohio at the time. And Coach Solich they just put their staff together. And, I was actually the assistant for Coach Friday. He said, I'm a receiver coach at Ohio. So he comes in looking at receiver film. And so, of course, I put on my film for him, and there was a play that I made. I caught a post route I was really covered. I just jumped up and caught the ball up on two different guys. And after that play, it was pretty early on in the tape too. He said, "I see what I seen enough." Right? He goes out to the hallway, and I hear him on the phone. And now I know he's talking to Coach Solich, and he's saying, "I found the guy that I want." You know what I'm saying? And I guess he got a the go ahead to give me the offer or whatever. And so he says, well, comes back in there. He says, I like this kid. I like to offer you. I like to always tell Coach Friday I want to offer that kid. And he found out it was me. So he said, well, he also said, well, I can't fully offer you, but you got to come on the visit, and the head coach will offer you on the visit. And Coach Friday says, no, you can't have him. He going somewhere else. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, what do you mean he can't have me?
What are you doing, Coach?
Right. Like, I have no offers.
Right.
You hear what I'm saying? I have no offers. He said, nope, you can't have him. He said, yeah. He said, Bowling Green was just in here. He said, they say they like him. They want him. I told him they can have him. That's just what he said. And then when he left the office, he was like, he going to call, and that was just part of the game that I understood, that he understood.
Right.
And he put me up on games, that now that he knows that other schools in the conference that he's playing against are also interested, there's no doubt about it now. They're going to give you the scholarship. You know what I'm saying? So that was his tactic, and I just had to believe in him, and still, he might have even came over to our house and spoke to my parents that same day. Coach Mason, I think he did. And, from that point, after, Coach Friday saying it to him, he was just trying to get me, you know what I'm saying? And the next weekend or something like that, ended up going to Ohio, and they offered me and recruited me. And so that's how that situation happened. That was a true blessing of God coming into my senior year, you know what I'm saying, with no offers and one catch. As a junior, so, and then for that whole thing that play out with how Coach Friday played that thing, man, I'm forever grateful to him. Rest in peace to him.
That's a funny story, man. The recruiting process, especially, I spent about 8 months being a recruiting writer for the MarshallRivals.com website, dude. I mean, I thought I knew college football recruiting until I was a reporter, and I was like, oh my God, like, it's basically like a circus full of like funhouse mirrors where everything is distorted and you can't tell who the hell's telling the truth.
Right. I can only imagine. I mean, I forget who I was talking to, but this comes from a college coach at a Power 5. But he was telling me that there's not one Power 5 recruit that's recruited legally. There's not one.
Yeah, I could see that. One of our coaches said that we'll talk about that later in the podcast about paying players. I mean, well, you know what? Let's just go ahead and jump into it. Dad, what are your thoughts on paying players? Because I've talked to a lot of guys about paying players, and I really think players deserve about $3,000 every month to take care of living expenses and things like that. Let's hear your thoughts on paying players and how you think players should be paid.
Well, it's a tricky line. They're definitely bringing value to the university, and they're, essentially not compensated other than through their, scholarship and their education. And I don't think that should be discredited. I think that it is a amateur thing. You're not a professional, though. You get what I'm saying? Like,
right.
You do have to go to school, so it's a difference when you're a professional. However, there's so much money that's being made and the risk is so great that I think that there are things that they could do to help things out. And I think it's just the right thing. Like, for me, it's not so much about, stipend, even though that I think that that's not a bad, a road to go down.
Mm-hmm.
But even more than that, long-term health care, I think that should be something that should be addressed. Some of these players have some long-term injuries, and who's going to pay for those things? So I think that's something that has to be addressed. I think that the players need to have a union, outside of just to be able to negotiate some of these labor things.
Yeah, I agree.
It is labor, So I think those are some of the small things that I think that should happen. As far as guys being able to make money off their likeness, I think that that's a scary road to go down too. because I mean, imagine a basketball player, you know, getting told that we can ensure that you'll make, you know, X amount of millions of dollars or $500,000 if you stay another year. Or a football player to say, you know, saying, forego going to the league just yet, you know, we'll make sure that this car dealership or this law office or this whatever advertisement money will come in for you. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that they're going to pay you, but they're going to ensure that you'll get paid. So then now you have an unfair playing advantage, you know, saying from university to university. And then it's not necessarily, you know, a amateur thing. You get what I'm saying? Also at the same time, you know, it's hard to deny, you know, those situations, like with, you know, Reggie Bush, for example.
Right.
You know, him getting his, you know, Heisman taken away from him, you know, but thinking about all the money that team generated while they were there is, you know, kind of insane to think that, you know, he couldn't, you know, arrange a situation to take care of the basic housing that his family required, you know, to a certain degree. You know, you get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
A lot of players, they're in crazy circumstances, and their families are in worse. You know, they don't have, some of their family members don't have a meal plan.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, get into a situation where, you know, they may have to forego their education just so that they can hurry up and be the breadwinner for their family. And in the long run, it sets everybody backwards, you know, or at least not in a good place, because they may not be educated enough to handle that money or that success when it comes in. And it's just an education process. It's a long process that needs to be talked through, but I think it needs to start with a union, you know?
Yeah, especially during coronavirus, you know what I mean? We don't have any sort of players union speaking up for all these players, saying like, these are our demands to be able to play under these conditions. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely.
It's pretty messed up. And not only that, all these players, they seem terrified to talk because they don't want, you know, they don't want any beef with coaches or their teammates. And they seem terrified to talk about, like, you know, I'm going to opt out during coronavirus. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I mean, especially as a college player, I mean, where does that leave you? That leaves you with a situation where you can't necessarily, you know, showcase your talent to then get a job. You know what I'm saying? In the NFL or whatever your sport is, you know, and you don't know how they're going to rule just quite yet. So it leaves you like a take it or leave it type of situation. Nobody's negotiating for you. You know, they just come in, they tell you the rules, whether it's fair or good for you or not, you know, and that's not right, man. You know, because we already know their bottom line is what's the most important.
Oh yeah, I mean,
you know,
coronavirus.
When it comes to these large, when it comes to these large organizations and universities, you know, I don't necessarily trust that they have the best interest out for these players. I think that they're going to think about what's in the best interest for their bottom line first and foremost.
Hey, absolutely, Thad. If nothing has proven us that simple fact, coronavirus has proven that in the biggest of ways. I don't know about you, Dad. I'm fucking blown away that all these people, like NFL's like, we're going forward. These are our schedules and all these guys testing positive. We're just going to keep going. I mean, to me, I am super cautious with this thing. Like, quite honestly, what is it going to take? Is it going to take someone to die for them to call it off? I mean, to me, it shouldn't take that. I think it's bullshit, man. And I'm the biggest football fan ever, but goddamn, this is some sick shit, man.
Right. That'll be the biggest tragedy if something like that would happen. I was actually thinking about that, you know, today, as I forget, I think it was the Cardinals. They had like, you know, more than 10 guys end up with a positive test. You know what I'm saying? After the Marlins just had like 14, 15, half their team come up with a positive test. And now, you know, God forbid, you know, one of those players end up in a critical, health situation, or even, die. God forbid something like that happens just for the pursuit of sport. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think
it's just not worth it's not worth it, man. And not only that, a lot of these guys, think about it, man. If you get COVID and you're a potential top draft pick, like Caleb Farley of Virginia Tech opting out, I do not blame him 1 minute for opting out, because guess what? If you get COVID and COVID like messes your like physical ability enough, which by the way, it has for a number of people to where they couldn't do their jobs like as effectively. There was a woman who was a Medicaid auditor. She can't even do her old job anymore. So if that's happening to a Medicaid auditor, what do you think's going to happen to some of the greatest athletes on the planet? That is a major problem that no one's talking about. It's insane.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. Especially when they're saying that, it affects your lungs, man. And, you got to be able to breathe, so the oxygen gets to your blood and makes your muscles work. I would actually, think that it would affect the athlete, even more than, somebody else sitting at a desk.
I agree.
You get what I'm saying?
That's exactly why I said that. I think it's definitely going to affect athletes a lot. And I think that everyone's just kind of saying, oh, well, so-and-so's positive. We're going to put them away for 2 weeks and they'll come out and they'll be perfectly fine. No one considers the fact that we don't even really know all the long-term effects of this virus. It's so insane, dude, to like, listen, no one loves football more than me. All these people say that people are rooting for sports to be canceled. Listen, I am for like player safety, and I don't want to see anything happen to these players long term because it's just not worth it.
Like you said, I'm the last person that wants sports canceled. You know what I mean? The first thing I did yesterday was the first day that the NBA had its restart. Right. Mm-hmm. First thing I did was watch SportsCenter. Couldn't wait. you know what I'm saying? Like, right. I couldn't wait. On top of knowing and watching a good bit of the games anyway, I wanted to watch SportsCenter. I wanted to watch the highlights. That's just part of what I do. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to come back. And then don't talk about football. I'm just a casual basketball fan. You understand what I'm saying? So in football, there's nobody that wants football, like you said, to come back more than me. But, it has to be done right, man. I don't think that it's worth, dying over. And it's a privilege, and we've been taught that it's a privilege. But then, in that case, we got to act like it. It's not something that's a necessity, but it's big business at this point. Big business, you know what I'm saying? So, the argument can go a lot of different ways. A lot of money and a lot of people being affected, even by them not playing the game that with fans in the stands. Yeah. Somebody's selling popcorn, somebody's selling parking. Right. Is not now getting that income. You know what I'm saying? It's a complicated situation. We got to do the best we can. I know that. And hopefully we got people that are trying to think deeper than a selfish motivation of their bottom line. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know that I have that faith.
I lost that faith long ago, Thad. That ship has sailed, Columbus.
Right. Yeah. So
Dad, let's get back to some of the football memories, Dad. Talk to me about some of your favorite football memories from your Ohio days. I mean, I know we talked about that Temple game, but I know you were also a part of the team that won the MAC East against Akron in 2006. Talk to me about that game and the fireworks going off after that game.
Well, that was exciting. Just to get us to that point, especially from me feeling like I was a big part in building where Ohio is today. When Coach Solich got there, being his part of his first recruiting class, and there was a lot of things that changed. We were trying to change the culture and, get on a winning path that Ohio wasn't necessarily on before, Coach Solich had got there. And they were changing offense up and, things of that nature. To get to a point where play for a MAC championship game was, it was one of those moments where I think all of us, especially in my class, felt like we built something. It wasn't even just about that one season. It goes back to first day of summer and we're all freshmen, looking at each other and, us having that conversation said, we're going to be a difference. We're going to turn this program around. You know what I'm saying? Those type of situations and looking over at Mike Mitchell and, Brandon Jones and Chris Garrett and people that was in that class with me, and that was our goal and we accomplished it. We were part of the legacy of moving Ohio in a better place. So, that was an accumulation of a lot of hard work, let me tell you. But some of my fondest memories of Ohio, I don't even have anything to do with football. It has to do with the people, and a lot of those were football players, you know what I'm saying? But, Ohio's a great place to go to school at. Man, I had a blast. I learned a lot about myself, so it was just one of those places. And speaking of Mike Mitchell, one of my favorite moments is, playing basketball. I used to get dragged to, the rec and playing basketball. Mike and Idris, Lawrence and, Steve Jack and, they used to drag me out and play basketball. Because my dad used to tell me, you can't play basketball. You can roll your ankle. You know what I mean? Like, so even when I was playing basketball, I kind of felt a little guilty, because my dad was always like, you can't play basketball if you football play, you can roll your ankle. You know what I mean? And, but we had a lot of fun, man. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I remember most about Ohio. Those people, those types of experiences, sweating with each other, really putting in the work, what I'm saying? And ultimately the legacy that we was able to build, you know what I'm saying? So it was good. It's a good place. It's a great place to go to school.
Absolutely. Thad, talk to me about your time in the pros. I saw you spent a little bit of time with the Colts, Patriots, and Bobcat Attack also had that you spent some time with the Cardinals. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Those are my three stops. It was a great experience. I would say it like that. It was a really fun experience. I learned a lot. I got so many stories in each different place. I can give you something, but
let's hear it.
Okay. For example, so I got a story for you, and it involves an all-time great quarterback. So first day, walking to Indianapolis, undrafted free agent, and Peyton Manning is walking through the locker room. Right, this is rookie minicamp or something like that. So, there's really not a whole bunch of veterans around, but he's walking through the locker room and he's shaking his hand and introducing himself as if nobody knows who he is. You know what I'm saying? So he's it's like Barack Obama saying, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Barack Obama." Like, we know.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
sure.
So Peyton Manning is introducing himself, shaking his hand, everybody's hand, And I remember he gets to me and he said, "Hey, how you doing? My name is Peyton Manning. It's good to meet you." And then I go to tell him my name. He was like, "I know who you are. You're Thad Turner, man. You played Tennessee that year, man. You played us so good." And he just talked about that game, and he really remembered me. He knew who I was, and that blew my socks off, man. That was the first day. You know what I'm saying? Like, Peyton Manning knew who I was. He was watching my film and check me out. You know what I'm saying? I was playing in alma mater. Yeah, man. So that was an amazing day. It was a crazy story. You know what I mean? Just having that acknowledgement. Everybody wants that a little bit,
Yeah. When Peyton Manning tells you he watched one of your games, I mean, I would have lost my mind.
Right. And, I actually did. I remember that game. I was fired up, to play Tennessee. And that was another game, like I talked about earlier. We got a little production on offense. Damn it, could have won.
Yeah. Chris Garrett had that kick return in that game, bro.
Yes, he did. We had him on the ropes. We had Tennessee on the ropes, man. I was trying to do anything I could to make a play that game. I probably tried a little bit too hard, you know what I mean, to a certain point. They ran like a little boot, and on film, they were running boot, and they were running comeback. And then all I saw. Every time they ran boot, they ran comeback. So I had in my mind, when they run this damn boot, I'm going to kick that shit off. You know what I'm saying? And so I saw it, and of course they ran a comeback. They ran a stutter go on me. You know what I mean? And I think it was who was the quarterback at the time? Starts with the C. He ended up playing with the Patriots for a little bit too. Either way it goes, his last name starts with the C. He ended up overthrowing the stutter go that, you know what I'm saying, looked like that comeback. And
wasn't Casey Clausen, was it?
No, I wasn't.
I think he was way before, actually. Yeah. He was like early 2000s, I think.
Mm-hmm. But I was reaching on that play. You know what I'm saying? I didn't read the receiver. I was just like, you know what? If I see this jam, I see him run the boot, and then he kind of looks like he's gonna break down and run the comeback. I'm a jump his route. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of was overthinking, trying to make too much plays, but they ended up in incomplete pass, but it ended up working out. But I certainly I did some good things, you know what I'm saying, that game. But I was fired up, man. I really wanted to win that game, man. And,
oh man, I was so fired up for you guys watching that game. I feel like I was watching that game either on ESPN or like ESPN3. I don't know. I feel like I was watching on my laptop, and I was just like screaming at the screen, dude, when Chris Garrett scored that TD. I was like, let's fucking go. I was so jacked up, dude. Like, we're ahead of Tennessee. Let's go, baby.
I know, man. We played a lot of our, quote unquote money games. Man. We played a lot of them to the wire, man. And to be honest with you, that was, that was some of the things that I wish that we could have gotten over the hump at my time at Ohio. But we did leave a good legacy, as far as being, the top seeds in the MAC each year coming out of that situation. But we could never really quite, at the time, we could never really close out that money game, that big game, when we played an SEC team or we played a Big Ten team. You know what I'm saying? So that was a little bit, didn't leave a good taste in my mouth, but, we certainly were competitive. I mean, we played a lot of them to the wire, thinking about Ohio State when we played them. We think about Northwestern, we was up on them. Tennessee, I feel like it was a come-home kit. We were up on the UConn.
Well, you guys beat Illinois at Illinois.
Right. We did do that, probably with Ron Zook at the time. He don't know which quarterback he wanted to play. He had 10 damn quarterbacks on the roster. So that was part of that time,
That's funny, man. Zook recruited one of my all-time favorite quarterbacks, man. Chris Leak, that guy could spin one of the prettiest spirals I've ever seen in my life. That dude.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he recruited every quarterback in the 90s and 2000s. He was a hell of a recruiter.
Yeah.
He was over recruit. Shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was a hell of a recruiter.
That was always Zook's. That was always his MO, like he's a great recruiter and not a very good in-game coach.
You're right. Yeah, that was his little that's what they thought about him. That's true.
been listening to the Flow Theory Podcast. You can listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and TuneIn.